Hey, Frosty, it's 4:30. Wake up.
Todd, why are you calling me?
We're back on the radio again. What? Making mornings great again. Conservative talk is back in Oklahoma. The Tod Tucker Show with Frosty the Snowflake.
Hey.
Starting Monday, 6 a.m. on 1640 The Eagle and streaming live at kzlsam.com. See you Monday. Welcome to the Tod Tucker Show. Thursday, day after Halloween. Everybody's buzzing on sugar. Sugar highs everywhere. Go to CVS, Walgreens, Crest, your nearest grocery drugstore, Walmart, buy out the candy. It's on sale now. That's my favorite time of the year. The day after Halloween, when all the candy goes on sale. U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe said today he will introduce legislation to make illegal immigrants pay for a border wall with Mexico by making it more difficult for them and their children to receive benefits such as earned income and child care tax credits. The senator said we have to build a wall and we have to pay for it. He was holding a news conference at Big Elk Energy Systems in West Tulsa this morning. The senator said he expects immigration to be an important issue in Tuesday's national elections, but denied that today's announcement was timed to influence those elections in any way. The senator went on to say a lot of Democrats are running because on this issue, they actually agree with Trump, and that refers to Donald Trump's hardline position on the issue. Senator Inhofe went on to say that he probably supports efforts to end birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants and noted he introduced legislation to do just that back in 2007. At the news conference, Inhofe's staff handed out news releases about that 11-year-old legislation. The extent to which illegal immigration is a problem to a matter of considerable debate. Recent reports put the number coming in from Mexico at the lowest levels in decades, and the flow from Central America slowing down as well. But this caravan of Central Americans said to be seeking asylum in the United States has caused alarm in some quarters. President Trump has speculated that we now have around 3,000. They might include criminals or terrorists, though no evidence of that has been presented. We do know that there are kids that have tuberculosis and other ailments that are crossing through Mexico now toward the United States border. Now, we spoke yesterday at great length about the 14th Amendment and the fact that the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1866 for the benefit of children of newly released slaves, to make sure that those children had birthright citizenship in the United States, as that was the right thing to do. We even went through the 5th paragraph of the 14th Amendment. I've had some people with great concern saying that they had heard the president was trying to reword the Constitution with an executive order. That is not true. What the president is doing is he is enforcing what is already in the 14th Amendment. It was Barack Obama who, during his presidency, signed an executive order with his pen and his phone to get ICE to stop doing their jobs on the border. This executive order by President Trump says, get on it, let's enforce the borders. We've got to build that wall. And we've got to build it yesterday. So Senator Inhofe will be on a radio show with Frosty and me sometime next week. We're trying to get that booked as we speak, and we'll talk not only about the aftermath of the midterm elections, which are coming up. Early voting in Oklahoma began today. It will be today and tomorrow. So if you don't feel like getting out on Election Day, you might want to get out and do your voting today or tomorrow. Make sure you research those state questions and those judges while you're at it as well. In the race for governor, Kevin Stitt leads Drew Edmondson 46.4 to 44, and I didn't catch that, 41.6%. Now that is above the margin of error. Bill Shepard of the Sooner poll is the best pollster in the state of Oklahoma, and he's done a great job of predicting races up to this point. It looks right now, if things continue as they are, we will see Governor-elect Kevin Stitt on Tuesday night and Drew Edmondson back in retirement with his $140,000+ a year pension that he's earned from We the People. So we've got the caravan crossing Central America. or crossing Mexico from Central America, trying to reach the American border. It is a grave concern to our national security. We've got an obligation, first and foremost, to the people of America, most of us who are immigrants, and that is to protect our country from people seeking to do harm or to sponge off the system and to basically take advantage of our hard work. That's not being heartless. That's saying, you want to live in the United States? Great. Let us know who you are, what you're doing here, and then we're good. It's that simple. 300,000 anchor babies born in the United States. Every year, 48 states, 300,000 anchor babies. 300,000 new babies every year, many of which will get on the welfare system, and the Democrats are hoping will become future voters of their party. But not so fast, because the hashtag walk away movement is so effective right now, and the Blexit, which, by the way, did you know that Twitter has now banned the hashtag Blexit? Yeah, good old Twitter. I haven't gotten on Twitter in quite a long time. I know the president uses it and uses it well, but I've just stopped tweeting. I refuse to use a platform that may decide that they just don't like what I say one day. President Trump is in Florida holding a rally for DeSantis and Scott. If this guy on the Democrat side becomes governor of Florida, folks, that is going to be a big mess. Also, this woman running for governor of Georgia. I don't know where the Democrats are digging these people up. They obviously don't want to bring anybody younger into the picture that might be smarter than Maxine Waters, which wouldn't take a whole lot, or Nancy Pelosi. And latest word is that Maxine Waters wants the gavel herself. Catfight, Maxine Waters and good old Nancy Pelosi, gouging each other's eyes out. Polling is looking great for the midterm elections, which are just days away now. This is the most talked about midterm election of my lifetime for sure, and probably the most important midterm election in the history of the United States of America. And I'm not trying to sound like Sean Hannity, because every time he takes a leak, it's the most important leak he's ever taken in his lifetime. Martha McSally, who is seeking Jeff Flake, the Flake seat in Arizona. She was down for a while. Former pilot, I believe, in the Air Force. Martha McSally is now gaining traction and is well above her Democrat challenger in the state of Arizona. Claire McCaskill still in big trouble in Missouri, which I believe that seat will go to the Republican on Tuesday night, and that blue seat in a red state is going to be a red seat in a red state by the end of Tuesday night. We're also taking a look at polling numbers here across the state of Oklahoma and other races as well. Republicans are doing well. People are confused over the state questions. State questions can be very confusing. If you don't understand completely the state question or whether or not to retain a judge, just leave it blank. That's what I do. If I don't know, then I'd just rather not vote yay or nay on it. I've got some pretty good ideas of how I'm going to vote as of right now, and we'll talk about state questions in greater length here before the weekend. I'm planning to early vote today, and I'll let you know kind of what the verdict was after I come out of early voting. We're going to take a quick break. The caravan is calling for some commercials. We'll be back right after this. The Tod Tucker Show is on. On 1640, The Eagle, and streaming live at kzlsam.com. See you Monday.
Todd, what do any of these state questions mean?
Well, guess what, Frosty? We're back on the radio, actually, and we're going to talk about the state questions and the midterm elections on Tuesday. The Tod Tucker Show with Frosty the Snowflake is back on the radio, making mornings great again, 6 to 10 on 1640 The Eagle, and streaming live at kzlsam.com.
Is your kitchen looking sad these days? Are you tired of looking at that old, dated bathroom? From rooftops to those unsightly holes in the walls, Complete Contracting has got you covered. Call 405-676-0595 today to schedule an estimate. Once again, that number is 405-676-0595. And remember, Complete Contracting has the contracting expertise for all your renovation and repair needs.
After the weekend's tragic shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, Jewish Americans are flocking to firearms training now. We've come to a sad place in America where it is becoming more and more evident that we've got to be carrying weapons in church and places of worship now, synagogues, even mosques for those who have a permit. We are coming to that point. Churches now have armed ushers, whereas that was unthinkable 20 years ago. But it's because of all these nut jobs that like to go in and shoot up places of worship. And now you've got Jewish Americans, and they are going crazy for firearms training now to protect themselves. Dylan Roof and the shooting in South Carolina in which he killed those people at the African American church there. Just another example of why people need to be able to carry in places of worship. It's for protection. Sad, but a fact of life now. And you've got Mayor Bill de Blasio. He is the most socialist person. I think he makes Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton almost look like right-wingers. De Blasio is just a complete failure as the mayor of New York, and how he got reelected, I have no idea. This guy is absolutely brainless, but he forgot to honor the New York City terror attack victims at the memorial. He had to apologize to the loved ones of victims killed in a terror attack near New York City's Tribeca neighborhood in 2017 because he forgot to pay homage to the victims of that attack. Just a little slip. Yeah, my mind slipped a little bit. There you go, Bill de Blasio. I think his name is really de Blasio. I call him de Blasio. What a despicable creature he is. And to think that we have people like this subhuman cockroach that goes into the synagogue in Pittsburgh, and the subhuman cockroach that goes into the school in Florida, and the subhuman cockroach that goes to Sandy Hook, and the subhuman cockroaches at Columbine. Those are all reminders that we don't need to be taking guns away from innocent Americans. We need to arm ourselves to protect ourselves. And apparently it's going to become more and more evident if we keep letting criminals cross our borders in record numbers. Polling out now, this is also a Bill Shepard poll, I believe. Steve Russell, in the tightest race since he became congressman in 2014. He was elected in 2013. Kendra Horn is roughly 10 points below Congressman Russell. Steve Russell will be reelected as congressman in the 5th District, but these Kendra Horn people have spent a lot of money and put out a lot of signs to try to turn that very red seat blue. And it looked like it was going purple for a little while, but now things are starting to turn around and we're starting to see some traction.
News 9's Carl Torp joins us with the poll numbers.
Horn is trying to turn Congressional District 5 blue for the first time since 1974.
After fighting evil and tracking down tyrants,
Congressman Steve Russell won office in 2014 and a re-election 2 years later by at least 20 points.
I'm a fifth-generation Oklahoman.
But Kendra Horn, who's run nonprofits and has been in the aerospace industry, has been fighting hard for the OKC congressional seat. Democrats have been successful in urban cores and suburban areas throughout the country. So now this is a race to watch.
Steve Russell took $1 million from lobbyists.
So are Horn's haymakers connecting?
Women, predominantly in suburban areas, are beginning to vote more Democratic. The point is that that's not translating to Edmond right now. It's not translating to South Oklahoma City.
Sooner Poll's Bill Shepard says the latest News 9 News on 6 poll shows Russell in his tightest race since taking office. Horn has successfully raised money to go on the attack.
He's not a good fundraiser. It's ironic that she's attacking him over the money that he's raised because, quite frankly, he's raised a lot less than other Republican congressmen in the state.
But Russell,
there we go. Kendra Horn with the resting bee face. Here we go. This is a look at District 5. We've got, can we roll that, put that back up, please, sir? We've got Steve Russell leading at 48.6%. Kendra Horn, 37.1%. And undecided, 14.3%. Once again, early voting starts today. And I would imagine the undecideds have decided. The difference is they're just not telling pollsters how they are planning to vote. Also, we touched on this earlier in the show, but Kevin Stitt does lead just above the margin of error in the race against Drew Edmondson for governor on Tuesday. It looks like Oklahoma at this point is going to remain red, and I also predict that there will not be enough seats picked up in the House of Representatives for Democrats to get the speakership or leadership in the House of Representatives. I also am predicting some blue seats in red states heavily carried by Donald Trump to turn red as well. We've got a lot of key Democrats sitting in seats right now running for re-election, and in large part to Brett Kavanaugh and their resistance to Donald Trump and all of the successes he's having since being elected president. Them fighting against him is going to pretty much send them back where they came from, which is kind of what we envisioned when we knew Donald Trump was going to drain the swamp. How do you drain the swamp? You go to the ballot box and you drain it that way. So a lot of people are confused about judges and about these questions, these state questions. And so I just have to be honest with you. I've done some research on the state questions. I need to be more up on the state questions than I have been. I've thought, yeah, I'm going to vote this way on this, not this way on this, and there have been some things that have kind of made me go back and forth, so I'm really going to study up on them this afternoon before I early vote, and then we'll give you kind of a synopsis and let you know what's going on tomorrow. As far as whether or not to retain judges, the last time I voted in the judge races, I just looked to see what governor appointed them and tried to get a read on what their judicial record has been, whether they've gone by the Constitution of the state of Oklahoma or whether they've deviated from it. But that's very, very difficult. They do it in Texas as well. Should we retain? Should we keep? And a lot of times we'll leave that blank because I don't know the answer to that one.
I can tell you right now, do not vote to retain James Edmondson, appointed by Democrat Brad Henry.
Was James Edmondson related to the Attorney General?
I do believe so. Okay. Do not vote to retain Noma Gurick. She was appointed by Democrat Governor Brad Henry. Do not vote to retain Kager, appointed by Democrat Governor George Nye. And do not vote to retain Judge Patrick Wyrick, appointed by Republican Mary Fallon.
Okay. And why Wyrick?
All of them voted against the, Wyrick is just a dissenter in general. So Wyrick has a tendency to just dissent to...
Dissent.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So he did dissent on the decision of the Oklahoma Supreme Court to deny the right of the people to make the decision on House Bill 1010XX. By saying that the petition was insufficient.
The big boobs bill.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
1010XX.
But Judge Winchester offered an amazing dissent on that, and anybody that wants to really understand what was going on with the petition to repeal HB 1010XX in the Supreme Court should look to Judge Winchester's dissent.
State questions. Let's run through those just a little bit from what we know. Let's talk about Marsy's Law, for example. Marsy's Law, in theory, sounds like a great law. That was a tragedy. I'm leaning toward voting for it. The optical law, still on the fence for that one. I don't like giving Walmart any more power than what they already have, but you know what? If it makes things more competitive and more affordable, that's what we need. We need, actually, a state question that requires our state to freaking have options for health insurance. That would be nice. Right now, we have Blue Cross Blue Shield this expensive, and Blue Cross Blue Shield more expensive, and Blue Cross Blue Shield this. It's like Blue Cross Blue Shield has a monopoly in the state of Oklahoma. Thank you, Barack Obama. Boy, that not-so-affordable health care mess that you created. That was started by hairy-legged herpes Hillary back when she was First Lady, or whatever she is, in 1993. We're going to take a quick break. The Tod Tucker post-Halloween show is on. Don't forget, Frosty and I return to the radio Monday, 6 to 10 a.m. Every weekday morning. You'll be able to hear us bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on 1640 The Eagle at KZLSAM.com, or also on the TuneIn radio app. But make sure you listen to us starting Monday as we're back on the radio. And we're back here right after this.
Something is going on. Some of us see it, some of us feel it. It's time to expand your thinking. You will need to reset everything you thought you knew about the world, about the people you trust, about history, about yourself. Let me tell you a story.
Third and fourth platoon.
For a very long time, our world has been under the growing influence of a vast transgenerational criminal mafia that was able to rise up to the highest levels of power. We didn't know because they talked and acted just like you and me. We thought we could recognize true criminals by their words and actions, but were deceived by their sophisticated speech, wealth, education, beauty, and power. Through a system of threats, blackmail, and bribery, they would come to occupy the highest levels of power in government, corporations, and education. You may know them as the Deep State or Cabal. Most dangerously of all, they achieved almost total influence over the media, their primary means of controlling the good people of the world who were just trying to get on with living. They used this power to slowly convince us that we were the problem, that we were a threat to each other. They used race, gender, and religion to set us apart, and rewrote history to validate these false claims. They funded both sides of wars just to crush our potential to prosper and succeed as a peace-loving and creative force of good for the world. Now, with their firm grasp on the media, we drank in their entertainment and lies as they began their final phase, the total takedown of America. We were the brightest remaining beacon of freedom and humanity's last hope. They knew that if they could take America, the rest of the world would follow. They cut deals that led us to hand over total control of the money system to a private central bank, the Federal Reserve. This made it possible to influence Washington, D.C., and most of our presidents since then were beholden to the criminals in one way or another. Things took a really bad turn when they concentrated vast power into the hands of the many civilian intelligence agencies throughout the world. They said they were there to protect us. Instead, these agencies were catastrophically weaponized to boost drug and human trafficking cartels, assassinate political opponents, undermine the military, and change regimes of foreign governments who did not want to adopt the centralized system of money control. You might think they would choose simply to remain in the shadows running their criminal activities while we carried on with our lives. But as long as there was freedom for the people to prosper, the Cabal were always at risk of being discovered and shut down. There was no way to continue without a plan to eliminate all threats to their survival, even if it meant imposing a single world government under their jurisdiction, where no national identity, police force, or military could stop them. They called it globalism. Exploiting our emotions and our instincts of compassion, they found a way to justify dismantling cultures, borders, and national identity under the guise of social justice, creating false narratives of racism, colonialism, and capitalism to destabilize and ultimately collapse societies so they were no longer secure enough to reject this dark plan for the world. Where there was no history to distort, they would use wars to force a catastrophic mass migration of peoples across borders to destabilize and weaken cultural identity. When we didn't accept this, they called us intolerant and shamed us into silence. By 2008, America was in advanced stages of economic decline, with disastrous trade deals leading to widespread loss of jobs and a devastating financial crisis. The Cabal had now absorbed another extensive criminal empire that was aligned with a twisted and radical form of Islam. Realizing the competition could threaten their goals, they decided to cooperate and agree to mutual terms. Now, a hostile foreign enemy was able to insert a subordinate into the U.S. political system who would become the president. Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal funded Obama's Harvard education and took power by proxy, picking his entire cabinet while buying vast quantities of control in our largest media companies. The Western faction of the cabal was different. It was another kind of sick altogether. A dark and deeply sinister death cult with a strong reliance on symbolism and numerology, with levels of cruelty unimaginable to all right-thinking people. The reach and scale the secret society had achieved would have sent destabilizing shockwaves across the world were it ever to be publicly exposed. They were highly skilled at living just below the surface as they worked their way into the United States presidency. With both factions of the global mafia now in control, are you ready to hear what they had planned? Make sure you're sitting down. They installed rogue operators in government. They opened back doors to leak highly classified military intel and top-secret special access programs. They cut military funding and weakened the command of generals with irrational new rules of engagement. They worked to dismantle NASA and end our supremacy in space. They infiltrated and exposed defensive military intelligence programs that reduced our ability to detect foreign and domestic threats. They used our trusted agencies to target and weaken political opponents. They relaxed our borders and enabled passage of millions of illegals and violent criminal gangs. They moved money to fund global terrorism, resulting in groups like ISIS moving to capture vast territories throughout the world. In 2016, the Cabal Alliance had hoped to retain power. If you are not yet chilled to the bone by the picture that is forming about their intentions for us all, let me tell you what was to come next. Through international climate change scams, they would have siphoned trillions of remaining wealth, eliminate the last good guys in government, and withdraw total funding from the US military, handing over the responsibility of our defense to the United Nations. They would revise the Constitution to weaken our ability to fight back, ban the sale of firearms to eliminate our self-defense, insert their people into the Supreme Court, remove the Electoral College system to neuter our voting power, and totally eliminate alternative media to shield them from exposure. They instigated a covert deal to move large quantities of our uranium to their captured states in North Korea and Iran to build up a nuclear arsenal that would threaten the world. For this, they blamed Russia, a growing force of opposition to their ambitions of global control. By casting Putin as an enemy and blaming him for this illegal uranium deal, they had planned a devastating nuclear world war between America and Russia that would have exhausted the last two remaining pillars of freedom for the world, accelerating the horrific endgame that had become inevitable. This cabal miraculously lost power in 2016 when a brave operation, led by a US military alliance and their global partners, were able to return power legitimately over to the light. They had a plan of their very own, one that was many decades in the making. With Donald Trump selected for the role of president, the people of America was slowly awakened to the reality of the world they live in. With so much hidden and lied about in the media channels we had come to trust for our news and entertainment, this alliance of good set into motion a sophisticated strategy of dismantling the vast network of corruption that had almost completely overcome every level of government, industry, and the legal system. They knew they had to follow the laws of the land as they were originally intended. Otherwise, they themselves would be delegitimized, even though they were just trying to free us from the silent stranglehold of tyranny that we had come to accept as normal. The panicking deep state used any remaining power they had left to try and save themselves. Each day for 2 years was a careful and meticulously planned balancing act between public perception and the job that needed to be done. Moving too fast would shock and scare a sleeping public still living in the prison of the mind that was created for them. But after all this, it appears now that not only are we winning, but we have won. The trajectory of this great storm is now radiantly clear. Now we look forward to a new future, thanks to the brave patriots who risked everything to save our world. This time for good. There is not a person alive who has experienced what a world without this darkness could be like. A world of free energy that was kept from us to force our dependency on their fossil fuel monopolies. Abolishment of income tax that was illegally imposed to pay back interest on loans taken from the cabal banking system. Released cures for our most deadly diseases. Unleashed space technologies to open frontiers we never dreamed possible. New technologies creating millions of jobs and yielding a global human renaissance the likes of which we have never seen. Fellow Americans and citizens of the world, now it is our turn to shine. Wherever we are, we will become the plan when we choose to reject what they called globalism. We recognize the words they used to bend us to their will, and we say no more. It's time to turn off the media, follow your instincts, trust yourself, and be the plan. May God bless America and the world.
So today, 3rd and 4th platoons are going to sweep our next-door neighbors again. See if we can slow down the welcome gifts coming over the wall. Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
I'd like for you to have more non-combat experience first, but a military-wide shortage of chaplains says otherwise.
Well, I signed up to be where the need is, sir.
15 months without this face.
Get out! We've got to move! Head down the 1-8 order!
You're gonna be okay.
They can call it the family readiness group, but nobody's ever really ready.
Divorce is filed in the last 3 months. But soldiers losing families and having nothing to go home to is not the stabilizing force we need around here.
Really?
Just let me in. Messing with other people's lives just part of your job description or something?
I mean, kinda.
Yeah, well, my marriage is none of your business. You don't know anything about me or my family.
Hey, who's gonna take this one?
It is with 2 RPGs, sir.
Get her down!
Couldn't save her, chaplain. So I guess do whatever it is you do.
I just feel like there's something more that's happening between us.
It's not between you two. It's between you two and that war.
Oh, we got 2 on the rooftop.
Get us out of here! Take them out! I trusted in God to protect those men, and he did!
No, you trusted in God to do what you thought he ought to do.
I want to know why. I want to know why you somehow have it in you to show up for those men when you refuse to do it for your own wife and kids.
Because those men need me!
I need you!
Proud have laid their snares, and along the path, they have set traps to catch me.
Give it to him, chap.
You are my strong deliverer. Right. Yep. You shield my head in the day of battle. Right. Yep. Amen? Amen.
Is standing beside you.
And welcome back to the Tod Tucker Show Thursday. Tomorrow, of course, Friday, everybody's living for the weekend. And don't forget, Monday, Frosty and I return to the radio on 1640 The Eagle. You'll be able to stream it live as well. So we're back to morning radio, and I've gotten some great comments on Facebook. And thanks to everybody who's as excited as we are for this to be happening. By the way, become a patron. Go to the OTU Patreon page, Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. Click on the little button there that says become a patron, and every little bit helps us keep things going. Internet, lights, things like that, cameras. Well, what else? Oh, food here and there. So make sure you become a patron today on our Patreon page. All right, let's talk about lottery tickets here in the state of Oklahoma. It looks like, and if we could bring that story up, Moto, that would be awesome. We don't have the story? Okay, well, the Lottery Commission is going to allow you, as you know now, you're only able to buy your ticket with cash. Well, now they're changing the law to where you'll be able to buy your lottery tickets with a debit card. Okay, that didn't say anything about credit card, but it did say debit card. So that is coming in the very near future. Wow, this state is moving into the 21st century right before our very eyes. Amazing. The President of the United States is out campaigning hard. We're going to see a lot of rallies and hear a lot from him this weekend. Also, we're going to have a big update on the situation with the caravan coming across Mexico from Central America. That's going to be on tomorrow's show. And following polls. I mean, the polls are really coming out. Things are starting to tighten up. Rasmussen has the president at pretty high rates. In fact, in states that the president carried, and these are battleground states for control of the House and Senate. In battleground states, key states, President Trump's approval rating very high. and it's not just high, but very high, which means we're not going to see the blue wave that the Democrats are having wet dreams about. It's not going to happen. We're going to see a red tide on Tuesday. They're going to have a big GOP watch party at the Chevy Bricktown Event Center on Tuesday night. That's where all the cool people are going to be hanging out. So it's going to be an exciting, I feel really good about the midterms at this point, a lot better than I did a few months ago. And I think a lot of that has to do with not only the Brett Kavanaugh hearings and the way Democrats, the people on the far left, have been conducting themselves, but also the caravan, because immigration is one of the top two issues, a top issue for GOP voters, and like number two with Democrat voters. These are the people that are Democrats and not libturds. There is a difference. We'll talk about the difference one of these days in being a Democrat and being a socialist or a leftist. But that's what we've got today. Tomorrow, we kick off the weekend. We'll try to bring some Halloween candy in here, and we'll have a lot to cover as we get ready for the weekend before election. Make sure, if you have the opportunity, get out and early vote, because it began today. You can early vote today and tomorrow. And then, of course, Election Day is Tuesday, and we'll be talking about the elections from now, and big-time show coming up on Wednesday for the day after as well. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Oklahoma. Remember, the heart of the wise inclines to the right, the heart of the fool to the left. Ecclesiastes 10:2. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Streaming live at KZLSAM.com.
Hey, Todd, where am I supposed to meet you on Monday?
We're like the Jeffersons. We've moved out of the hood, and we're now on the expressway.
Ooh, West Side.
Yeah. The Tod Tucker Show with Frosty the Snowflake is back, making mornings great again. 6 to 10, Monday through Friday on 1640 The Eagle, and streaming live at KZLSAM.com.